Welcome back to Girl Talk. We are here at the beautiful Contours Lingerie, and we're talking how to keep everything together. I'm one that have come here personally, and I just love coming here every time because they do such a great job. But let's talk about finances with our Sue Peck, Evolution Financial. Sue Peck is probably one of the most knowledgeable people that we've had on the show that can really enlighten us on how to ease into finances. So Sue, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And the first question I wanted to say is, how do we plan a successful financial plan?
So the best way to start is to actually put together a budget or a spending plan, something like that. And a lot of people, when I say that to them, it's one of the first things that I say. The first thing they say is, oh, my bank does that for me, or my credit card tracks all of that stuff. So they want to show me this graph. That doesn't count. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they do that. I think it's a very good thing. But there's something that happens when you sit down and you look at your actual numbers and you put them all together. It's very eye-opening to suddenly see, I spend what on dining out every month?
Yes.
And that's the first step in starting to change how you work with money.
Yeah, it can be kind of terrifying to kind of face it up front, and I think what I like about what you do is you have such an ease approach so people can kind of come and talk to you about that and be realistic about it.
Right, money shouldn't be scary.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be scary, and I love how you make it approachable. But I'm imagining a lot of people come in right away and they say, well, how do I start investing, or what is the first step of it? So how do you guide that conversation when people want to know those things?
Yep, people come in, they want to jump right in. You know, how do I get started? And my first question to them then is going to be, do you have an emergency fund? Because people come in with all of their money and they don't realize that they need to save some of it in order to protect themselves. So an emergency fund is going to be your essential spending. It's your housing, it's your mortgage or your rent, it is your utilities, it's the food, it's any debt payments that you have. So you want to have 6 to 12 months of that set aside. If somebody comes in and says, I have $200,000 that I want to invest, and we figure out from looking at their budget that they have $60,000 that they actually need to set aside, well, then it's good that we didn't invest the $200,000.
Interesting. And would you say about half people have the emergency fund, or is it's something?
I think people usually have a small portion of it, but they don't have enough.
Interesting.
And that's where it's so individualized because everybody's lifestyle is so different. You could make the same money as your neighbor, but you might spend it really differently.
Exactly.
Or live in a different manner. So we talked earlier this week, Sue, about some of the other things that you need to think about before you think about investing. And there is a lot. So let's talk a little bit more. Emergency fund, I guess, is number one.
Yep.
What else is there?
So then we're going to talk about debt. You know, if you want to invest and you still have credit card debt, then it's likely better that you get rid of the credit card debt. Credit card debt is going to be 12%, 19%, 25% interest, something like that. And if you're expecting to get, 7 or 8% from the stock market, it's probably best you put your money towards your debt. So we're going to take a look at that first and make sure that we get rid of that first before we start putting the money into the market.
Sounds smart.
What else could we look at besides, I think debt is one of the most important to remove debt once we start investing. But what do we look at when we decide that we want to invest?
So one of the best places to get started is your company retirement plan. I mean, the reason why it's a great place to get started is because, one, there's usually matching opportunities. So, say you put in 6% of your income, your company's going to put in 3% of your income. That's free money, and you don't want to turn that down.
Wait
right?
a minute.
Exactly.
Right?
So you don't want to turn that down. And it's also good because for a new investor, a company retirement plan usually has a limited number of things that you can invest in. For an experienced investor, that might be frustrating. For a new investor, it's great to not have too many choices. They also provide education usually. So you really want to sit down and figure out what your risk tolerance is. You don't want to be invested too much in the stock market if you're not comfortable with it. And then choose some of those mutual funds and get your money started.
And quickly, because we're running out of time here, but what are some other accounts that someone might want to invest in?
So after the company retirement plan, you might want to look into an IRA or a Roth IRA, something like that. But usually the company retirement plan is a great place to start.
I feel like we need a Sue Peck show.
I
just
think
to talk to you for like an hour. I guess get an appointment with her.
Exactly.
Well, Sue Peck, thank you again for being on Girl Talk, and we'll be right back.